Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to this month's session of TekTalk. I'm Troy Allen, your host, and today we're going to be discussing Contracted, the process lifecycle suite of tools and a module specifically designed for contract management. So in our session today, we're going to talk a little bit about Process Lifecycle Suite, which is a suite of tools that the Contracted module belongs to. That's really designed to provide efficiencies across all of your lines of businesses within your organization for process management. Then we'll have a short session for Q&A, and then next steps on how to get in touch with us. So at a very high level, let's discuss Process Lifecycle Suite. When we take a look at business trends and challenges that are going on today, we find a number of items that can be easily resolved as long as you are informed about the technologies that you're looking at in order to solve business problems. So let's take a look at the business trends first. A lot of organizations and business units are moving from standalone autonomous operations to orchestrated autonomous operations. So what we mean by that is a lot of times businesses have gone out and they've bought departmental solutions that are siloed. They do great for a particular department, but when you need to incorporate another department, let's say sales and your legal departments together, these standalone or siloed solutions really don't support that. And so you might have a tool for sales, you might have a tool for legal, and they really don't communicate very well. But by building tools that allows you to have your sales department work autonomously, but interact through orchestration with your legal department, now you start to orchestrate these business solutions that can communicate with each other. And quite often, it means that you've got a base level of technology that's persistent across your organization, but can give the lines of business freedoms to work in a manner that's best suited for them. We also find that business units are becoming more self-sufficient, and it's reducing dependency on IT to innovate. And a lot of this is due to the type of software that's out on the market. Now, you have to be careful because you can have departments going out and buying these siloed solutions. So instead, help guide them to find solutions to business problems that could be reused across the enterprise, but still allow them to have a level of control around their applications. More and more organizations are moving towards cloud or hybrid cloud applications to reduce infrastructure costs. And then lastly, as business transactions become more complex, organizations are looking for a way to streamline interactions across their companies, both internally as well as externally. How do they become more efficient? How do they share information? How do they share documents? How do they get more people involved in process management? So some of the common issues that we're also seeing out in the industry is a lot of companies are struggling to adapt to business changes. Our business world is changing on a daily basis, whether it's new regulations or it's new products or it's new ways to interact with our customers that we have to keep up with in order to be viable in the marketplace. And a lot of companies adopt automation. They still have issues with duplication of information and process. And it kind of goes back to some of the business trends where previously people have been buying these siloed autonomous applications and not really thinking about how that brokers into the rest of the organization. And there's also an increasing cost because of this for business process management and training in IT. Everybody's got their own solution. That's great, but unless those solutions are really tied together and knitted together behind the scenes to give you more of a global picture and global capability set, you're going to be retraining everybody for every tool that you bring on board. And it's really unclear, or there's an unclear understanding of business process leading to control and compliance and regulatory issues. A lot of times people know that they've got regulatory mandates that they have to follow, but they don't necessarily know how to get there. What are the appropriate tool sets, or even what is the process that they have to do in order to adhere to those standards? So a good tool set and a good business analysis merged together gives you the ability to make sure that you're on track and meeting those external demands from compliance and regulatory. So the process lifecycle really helps your business by, number one, it's in the cloud, relieves a lot of the internal resources and requirements to keep the application up and running. But it's really an innovative set of tools that's designed to help you simplify business processes across all of your lines of businesses within an organization. It's also modular based, so you can start off with one solution but rapidly grow across the enterprise. Whether you're starting with contract management with contracted, or you're dealing with sales management, or you're dealing with procurement management, or you're dealing with human resources and onboarding, the tool is really designed to extend and expand. And not only can you expand it across your enterprise, but you can also mold it to your specific needs. A lot of software as a service applications out there are really great tools, but you're really controlled or restricted in what you can do with them. So a lot of times there's a very particular way you have to process information. Whereas the Process Lifecycle Suite, because it's built on a platform as a service, means that it can be extended. And it can also be extended out to mobile application. Give you the ability to do process management across any device, anywhere, at any time. That's critical. We're not always sitting at our desk and at our laptops and working. We're on the road. We're on the move. We need to get the job done no matter where we are. And finally, Process Lifecycle Suite is built on Oracle's platform as a service, which really ensures you that it's going to meet your enterprise needs. It's got the security, it's got the capability, it's got the power to do more than just a line of business. So it's really designed to grow. So some of the key benefits that you'll find with using a tool set like the Process Lifecycle Suite is, one, higher productivity and operational excellence. So automate your common business practices quickly without a team of developers. Faster time to market. Your business analysts can take a look at what your needs are, assess them, and very rapidly model those into workflows and processes that can then be deployed without, as I said, a team of developers or a lot of extra test cycles in order to get that done. And this gives you better control over the system. You can drive standards across the enterprise, and those standards, driven from the business and supported by the business with full audit trails that improve and management control. And that helps to drive performance as well. It allows you to reduce training time through intuitive applications. And because as you add more and more capabilities to the system, it's really based off of a common set of tools and interfaces that easily extend from one business application to another. And you have that higher agility, being able to take your workload on the road and access it and perform tasks and duties anywhere through mobile-enabled application. Content creators and process participants can really do their job anywhere. And it helps to reduce expenditures by reducing risk while improving efficiency. Helps to eliminate waste and bottlenecks. So as part of the Process Lifecycle Suite, we've got a number of modules like Procure It and Template It. We've got a new module that's coming out now, which is the Contract It module. So we'll take just a few moments to walk through what it is. And we'll start off with some of the common contracting challenges that we see. Number one, general counsel and legal teams are always looking for better ways to reduce cost. And in order to do that, they have to gain a good control over how they create, review, negotiate, and manage their contracts and associated documents throughout their life cycle. If you can streamline that process, it means there's less time wasted. Less time wasted means that your resources are more efficient, which means that you're actually able to do more for the amount that you're paying them. And also, because this is built on the cloud, it means that you're not paying as much for infrastructure, and it's more subscription-based, so you pay for what you need. Going digital is a common challenge that we see. Through legal departments, sales departments, a lot of people are still working in paper-based worlds. They're still, having to spend time with sending a file out to somebody, have them print it, sign it, scan it, send it back in. It's not the most efficient way to do business, but a lot of businesses still do that. So how can you automate that in a digital fashion to speed that up? Give them the appropriate controls that will stand up for digital signature that you can rely on in case there's any type of litigation or that you need to verify information. And that also incorporates being able to collaborate easier with external resources. Maybe you've got external general counsel that you need to work with as you're going through the contract stage. So the next that we have is risk mitigation. A lot of departments are reporting a significant amount of risk, and risk really can be controlled in a number of ways, but one of the best ways is to reduce error or inconsistencies by better process and having good oversight to make sure that you're seeing issues and obstacles before they become a real problem and be able to handle those. It also gives you have problems with external interactions. A lot of times people struggle with how do you collaborate, not just internally, but externally. How do we share the appropriate information to make sure that documents are securely shared out for things like red lines? And how do you track the approvals as there's been change? Resource management also becomes a problem. A lot of times the legal teams are overworked. You may have one person in a department that's got 10 or 12 cases that they're working on or documents, and somebody else may only have one. And that's a lot of time due to lack of visibility into what your resources are doing. And so through the tool, you have the ability to go and look at work queues, who's got what in their queue, and can you kind of disperse the load across multiple users. And then finally, lack of internal engagement. As connected as we are, there's a lot of times where we're still disconnected, especially when it comes to automation tools. And we talked about this earlier. How do you incorporate technology to improve communication and access to processes outside of the legal department? A lot of times you're going to be working with your procurement, you're going to be working with sales, you might be working with safety or other departments that need to interact with these contracts as you're going through your management cycles. So, when you take a look at Contract It, it's really a suite of capabilities that we're bringing to the table, beginning and initiating contract requests, to evaluating those, supplying the appropriate language and terms, having a library of contract templates and documents that people can pull from as kind of a starting point. Quite often you're going to get into negotiation, whether it's internal or it's external with customers or suppliers or other entities. How do you negotiate? How do you share information so that multiple parties can be looking at it and working on it and track changes as they occur? And then also finally verify that contracting language and be able to approve all the red lines so that you can get to a final contract for execution. Once you have that contract executed, you need to have a centralized repository that you can store and archive that information in that will allow you to apply retention schedules to those archives. A lot of times people will have rules such as certain types of contracts need to stay around for 7 years or 10 years or 20 years, depending upon the document types. So having that as part of the system really helps to protect you in the long run, as well as make sure that information is kept fresh within the system. Search and retrieval, obviously. You need to be able to find the information that's stored there very quickly so that you can conduct your business. And then, from a higher level, having auditing and reporting, as well as renewal and tracking of contract. So a lot of contracts are evergreen, or there are certain conditions that apply when a contract is at its end of life, and processes that spawn off of that have to be done. So having a system that can help facilitate that entire cycle of events really becomes powerful. And it's not just for the legal team. Obviously, the legal team's going to see a huge benefit out of this, but line of business will also work with it, and your sales and procurement teams, and obviously your executives. So multiple departments might be initiating a contract request, or maybe they want to have reports on status or search and find information to conduct their daily operations. So this gives you a quick view as some of the key players in any contract system that you might be looking at. So some of the key capabilities with Contracted, and we'll look at it in two focus points. The first is contract management and workflow, and the second is collaboration and communication. So on the contract management and workflow, it's a cloud-based content and contract repository. And I specify the content in the contract because oftentimes it's not just the contract, it's all the supporting documents that go with it, whether those are emails or it's addendums or other vehicles of information that supports the contract that you have to manage and control and keep all those linked together. You need to have full revision control and content auditing, know who did what, when, to the documents that you're managing. And it's got to be intuitive for your users to interact with, and that helps minimize your training requirements. Businesses really need the ability to take ownership over not just their workflows, but forms and supporting elements of the overall process. So the tool is really designed to empower your business users, your business analysts, your business managers to take their processes put in the system and to quickly model those and put them into action. And the workflows themselves are dynamic and can be structured at the same time. And what we mean by that is you can predefine business rules that says if you meet these criteria, you need to go in this direction. If you meet this other set of criteria, you need to go in a completely different direction. All the same while being able to provide for ad hoc routing. Quite often you may have an executive that can override a predefined workflow. So how do you support those capabilities? Well, the contract enables you to do that. Collaboration and communication really is around how that information and those processes are shared outside of your specific department, across the enterprise, and to the outside world. So one of the key factors that we bring to the system is the digital signature capability with full tracking. TechStream has recently partnered with an amazing company, HelloSign. They've got a great set of tools for digital signature as well as some work applications. And we've incorporated that as part of our process lifecycle suite, and particularly the contracted application, so that when you are ready to get your contract signed, you can do that through a single interface and interact with them for those signature processes. The system also gives you the ability to share files internally, whether that's by secured measures or by controlled access to users, as well as externally. And you can determine what rights and permissions both internal and external users have with the content that you're sharing. Is it view only? Can they edit it? Those types of rules and conditions can be placed on it. And you can have annotate and collaboration along with detailed discussions around the documents as you're doing your editing. So somebody on a mobile device may view a contract that comes to them, and they can quickly put some annotation on it and put it back into the queue for others to take a look at. Or maybe there's a question that they need to flag a particular user for immediate feedback. So those are some of the communication tool sets that we bring. And I already mentioned the mobile. Being able to take the application on the go is critical. And there's also tracking and reporting around the workflow processes so that your managers and your executives know exactly where you stand with all of your processes at any point in time. So we're going to take just a break from the PowerPoint, and we're going to walk through a quick demonstration. I'm not going to go end to end of the solution, but a quick demonstration of some key aspects of the overall contracted module. So let's go ahead and switch over to our system. So I'm just going to do a quick refresh here. All right, so we are looking at the contracted interface, as I mentioned, as part of the Process Lifecycle Suite. So this provides you with a very straightforward interface for your users to access on mobile or on laptops or tablets in order to get to key elements that they need to do. So to start off any type of a contracting process, you're really going to initiate a submission form, whether it's requesting a new contract or it is, maybe a new customer needs to get it entered into the system or an appropriation request. You can drive that from forms where you collect information. Another way of doing it, quite frankly, is there's a drag and drop capability that we can associate with monitored folders so that when you upload a new contract to a folder, maybe you've received one and you want to get in the system and immediately have your legal team pick it up. We can drive workflow off of a drag and drop capability rather than having to initiate it from a form. But for now, let's just take a quick look at some of our forms that we have in the system. So now we're looking at one type of a sales contract. So you'll notice that some of the fields are highlighted in yellow and others are not. You can determine what fields are required, and these fields, forms themselves are extendable so that you can supply or request any information that's necessary. And you can have information appear or disappear based upon what step of the workflow that you're in. So maybe there's financial information that you need to have, or bill of materials. Maybe there's notes and comments about it. Let's take a quick look at maybe a new customer needs to be added to the system. So because you may have multiple contracts that are associated with that customer. So this gives you the ability to create customer detail information and collect details about those customers. Or maybe you want to do a capital appropriation request as an example, which would really involve multiple departments. So it would be your procurement department. In addition, legal is going to get involved for the actual contracts that are associated with it. And to be able to do not just supplying information, but very sophisticated items such as calculating return on investment or profit contribution, to have the system automatically calculate those based upon the information that's been provided as an example. When I first came into this, the main page that you saw was one of the views that a user would have into what actions or assignments that they have. So when you come in and log in each day, it's going to show you all of the items that you need to take care of. So in this case, I've got maybe a load, an executed contract, or I've got a sales contract review that you'll see that I've got a number of these sitting out there for me to take action on. At the same time, I can go to my actions, and rather than having a complete list, maybe I work across multiple departments, or from a legal standpoint, I work in multiple areas. So I can go in and look at all of my actions for a particular section. So here we see that I've got a number of specific items in my workflow, and let's just take a look at one in particular. So I'm going to look at this by my assigned date, and I've got one that came in today for load executed contract, and I'm going to open that up. So when I open this, it's going to show me one that's already been filled out. We can see there's a fair amount of information in here. So I can see what category, I can see critical information about the contract itself, maybe some other details. But I also have the ability to add into this my contract document. So if I go to my attachments, we can see that I've got my contract folders. And from within the contract folders, I can see that there's one in particular for TekStream Solutions, and I can look at any work in progress contracts. Now I haven't uploaded one yet, so I'm going to go ahead and show that. There's a couple of ways I can do this. One is I can drag and drop into this folder, or I can simply just do an upload and find any file that's sitting out on my desktop. So I've got some files in here, And let's say that this is just a simple contract that somebody's going to be working on. So I've uploaded it as part of the workflow. So as I go through my workflow cycles, different individuals can look at it. So you notice that I uploaded a Word document, but when I click on the view, it's actually going to render that as an HTML page so that I can see this from any device, anywhere at any time. To actually edit it, because this originates as a Word document, I need Microsoft Word in order to make changes to it, but I do have the ability to download and make those changes. All right, so now that I've got a contract in there, we'll just use this particular page to show a couple of other quick capabilities. I mentioned before that we have the ability to do signed documents or to obtain digital signature. I'll show that in a moment. And then I've got the ability to share documents internally and externally. So let's click on the share documents. All right, so the share document page has come up, but I still have access to my contract information, but now I can tell it who I want to share this with. So I can say I want to share this with Allen Tech, Outlook.com using my sample email address. I can put in CC information or blind copy people with this as well. And now a subject line, please review, and give it an email message. And now I'm going to select what document that I want to share. So I want to go to my work in progress, and it shows that I've got the simple contract, and I'm going to create a link. And a link name is a way that we can track who is actually looking at these documents from an outside world perspective. So I'm going to call this my demo share, and if I want to put a password on it, I can, and I can also determine what I want that user to be able to do. So maybe I want them to be a contributor, or just to be able to download it so that they can have their own copy. And then I can also be a viewer. So I'm going to tell the system, hey, I just want them to be able to view it. I can also set expiration dates for this if it's for a certain amount of time. So now that I have set my share, I'm just going to go up and click the share document. So I've done a share, but now I'm going to do a signed document. And this is going to put it into a signature management session for me. So to take a quick look at the screen here, I am going to first tell it that I need to send a new signature. So it recognizes that one has not been done before. And if I go to my work in progress, I can see there's a simple contract to sign. I can put in the title of the signed file name. So once it's been signed, it comes back to me. I want to know what it's called. So I'm going to call this signed copy. And what is the email subject that I'm going to send to the person? Please sign. And then what's the message? And then who are my signers? So I'm going to tell it that it is, Troy, and my email address. And then the order. And if I have more than one, I can put them in different orders for them to sign. So now that I've done that, down at the bottom you'll see that there's a request log. We'll come back to that in a few moments. But I'll go ahead and click submit on this. And in just a moment I should be receiving an email informing me that there is a document to sign. So here is my signature requested. And you'll see that I've got a get started link. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And it's going to open up that contract that was just submitted so that I can see it. Now, if you recall, I just put in a blank contract earlier on. But when I click the get started, it's going to take me to every location that's required. So it's got my name, it's got my email address. And I'm going to put my signature in. Now, a couple of ways I could do it. One is I could upload a picture of my signed copy. I can draw it in, as I'm doing here. I'm not a great drawer. Or maybe I want to type it in, or I can upload it, or I can even do it from a mobile device. So I'm going to change the font on this, and it looks good, and I'm going to click Insert. So now I'm going to click Continue, and I agree, and that completes it for the recipient of that signature request. So I'm going to go back and take a look at that process real quick, and if I go to the bottom of the page where I showed you before that it was waiting for signature, I can scroll down and see where we stand, and we can see that it was signed and that submission was put in at this particular date and time. So it gives me the ability to collect that information so that I can track, especially if I'm doing multiple documents. So that was just one that I had sent, but I might want to do many more. And once I'm completely done, then I can just simply click Exit. Now, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of different use cases in the system, but we just want to take a few moments to give you a quick view of some of the capabilities that the system provides. And one last thing that I'll show is I do have a signed copy that I receive, both parties of, you as the initiator, and then whoever signed it gets a copy of that signed document. I'm going to open it up real quick just to do a quick view, because there's one last unique thing that gets applied to this. At the end of the signed document, and there's my signed information, you'll notice that it's got a tracking reference number associated with it, and it's got an audit trail, so I know who had sent it out, when it was viewed, and when it was signed, and when it was completed. So all that information gets tracked. So we'll jump back into our slide, and we'll just go to the next one. And we do have a couple of Q&A. So I've got a few questions here. The first question is, how is this licensed? Well, it is licensed based upon users. So because it is a cloud subscription, it's really based upon the type of user that you need in the system. And the minimum is 10, but you license it by your process administrators and then your process participants, and also your content or your contract managers. So those who actually need to have access in the system to perform edits and so forth of the content. The next question that we have is, can this be integrated with other back office tools like JD Edwards or other applications? And the answer is yes, you can. Because this is built on top of the Oracle Platform as a Service, particularly Process Cloud Service and the Content and Experience Cloud, there's a rich set of APIs. There's also an integration tool that is part of the Oracle PaaS, which is the Integration Cloud Service. That enables us to really extend what you just saw today to many different back-end applications and ERP systems, accounts payable systems, so forth, CRM applications, human capital management systems, through API connectivity, and that Integration Cloud Service kind of acts as a broker to make those connections available for you. The final question that we have is, for the contracted, you mentioned template library. Can you explain that? So our template library allows you to store and make available for search all of your contract templates or all of your legal documents from a DOT perspective, a Microsoft DOT perspective, so that people can download those as a starting point, add in their information, and upload those as an actual contract to go through the process. We are looking at additional tool sets and ways to expand the capabilities that you've seen today. But we really do thank you for your time and recommend that you reach out to us. Here's the information on how to contact us here at TechStream. We are an Atlanta-based organization, but we also operate across the North America. Our phone number, so you can reach us at 844-TECHSTREAM or 678-708-4900, and you can email us at info@techstream.com, and our website is www.techstream.com. That concludes our Tech Talk session for today, and again, thank you for participating, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.